hasn't. He's hoping for better things in the 96-97 campaign. Gino Ojic has flipped it in for Vancouver, playing on a line with CMAC, picked up on the off waivers in the waiver draft from the New York Islanders, and Pavel Bure. Sandy McCarthy is up front for the Calgary Flames, along with Dave Gagne and Jonas Höglund, a newcomer for the Flames.
The knee problem.
Great time of the year, isn't it? Talking to players on either side, the coaches. Everybody's optimistic in early October.
Chris O'Sullivan gets to play his first NHL game, and the enthusiasm of players. It seems like a long training camp, and everybody's anxious to get going.
Here's McGillney, 2-on-1. Sheldon in front to Trevor Kidd. Came across to make the save. A little bit cloudy in GM Place right now. That because of some of the dry ice and smoke involved in the opening ceremonies here. It should clear momentarily. Robert Reichel fires it in as he returns to the Calgary lineup. Coming back from Germany, this is Jyrke Lume ahead to McGillney. It slides by him. There's Trevor Kidd playing it around, and Mike Sullivan's on left wing for the Flames. In the middle to Tom Alushko, too far. Now played ahead to Captain Trevor Linden. Alushko there, and he was dumped by McGillney. Genie Huskroft now up ahead. Alushko over the line. There's Sullivan with the blast off a skate into the corner along the boards. Ron Stern looking for it. Huskroft can't keep it in, and it's Roberts in pursuit for Vancouver. Now Adrian Aucoin back into his own zone. He's paired with Leif Rolin up front for Vancouver. That's Esa Tikkanen centering a line with Russ Courtnall and David Roberts. Here's the rookie Jerome Iginla over the line. Stillman rolled it just wide. Iginla along the boards, fighting off Tikkanen. Big Jerome Iginla, Corey Millen in there looking for a loose puck too. Huskroft plays it back in, and Kirk McLean wraps it around. Courtnall. Here's a steal, and Millen with a shot right on McLean, who is tested for the first time.
And here's a 2-on-1. Martin Jelena waits too long, and that allows Trevor Kidd time to come over. And at the other end, Corey Stillman with the quick hands, but he's too quick, and he slides it wide. He's in behind, then he tries to go back against the flow, but he goes too far back and misses the far post.
From the face-off, Brett Hedican. Left wing side to Roberts. Played it off the boards out to center. Tommy Albaline was there for Calgary. He's paired up with Zarley Zalapski. Tikkanen chased back by Stern, who lost his footing behind the net. Sullivan chopping at it. That hit Tikkanen, who starts back for Vancouver. Esa Tikkanen will flip it in, and the Canucks will make a change. And Albaline's back for Calgary. These two teams met twice in the preseason, and both teams recording 1-goal wins. Now Crowder's out there. The newly signed Troy Crowder wearing 18 for the Canucks. On a line with Marcus Naslund, who nearly lost it to Titov. And Mike Ridley will center this line for Vancouver. There's Reichel playing it off the boards and off Crowder back into the zone. And here's Todd Simpson backhanding it into the Canuck end of the ice. Around the boards, kept in by James Patrick. A shot through traffic, and Merzen clearing the rebound. Crowder playing it ahead. That was cut off by Patrick, and now Reichel takes a look. Hit Fleury on the back of the skates, and the Canucks will come back. Over the line comes Ridley, leaving it there. Crowder tried to center it, then back comes Fleury. Coming off a great World Cup trio, Fleury checked by Merzen, has it back at the line. Looking for Reichel in front. Robert Reichel has it. Here's Höglund shooting it, and McLean down, still loose. Merzen can't clear it. And Ridley playing it off Naslund out to center. Here comes O'Sullivan. Back to Dave Gagne trying to work his way in. And Alexander Seamak has it for Vancouver. We passed the 4-minute mark of the first period. Still no score between the Flames and Canucks. Played ahead by Sandy McCarthy, who led the Calgary Flames in scoring during the preseason. Huskroft flipping it in, and that's an offside. It's one of the new rules. No longer do they allow the team to tag up and get back onside. perfect in the preseason at 4-0, but McLean getting a chance from Tom Rennie to reestablish himself as the #1 man here in Vancouver. Can't wait to hear your comments about the 3 goaltender system Calgary is starting the season with. There's a Ginla run into the boards. Stillman picks it up, puts it into the slot. The penalty is coming up against Vancouver.
And Jerome Ginla showed his speed on Adrian Aucoin. It was a foot race, and Ginla was winning that foot race against Adrian Aucoin, and Aucoin ends up taking the elbowing penalty. Ginla's by him. Aucoin started, but then Aucoin finishes the check with the hands very high, and that's why he takes the elbowing penalty.
Now high hopes for Jerome Ginla this year. And Aucoin in the penalty box, giving Calgary its first power play opportunity. And we'd now like to welcome viewers of that Montreal-Ottawa game, a 3-3 overtime final. Chris Cuthbert, John Garrett, Scott Russell at GM Place in Vancouver, where we played 4 minutes, 45 seconds of the opening period in this matchup of Western Canadian teams, the Flames and Canucks. And here's Hedeken working it out to the Calgary line as the Flames set it up on the power play with Reichel, Titov, and Fleury. Up front, Corey Stillman and Zarley Zalapski. Here's Zalapski, watched by Babbage, following up his Fleury. Fleury feeds it back, Stillman. Here's a chance for Reichel, hit the goalpost. Robert Reichel nailed the goalpost, and the Canucks clear.
Dave Babbage did not have his stick, and Robert Reichel had all sorts of time, made the good shot, but it hit the inside of the post, and fortunately for Kirk McLean, stayed out.
Flames were 12th on the power play last year. Stillman to Titov. And now Fleury trying to fend off that loose stick. Reichel couldn't handle it, and Russ Courtnall will turn and get it out to center. Reichel picks it off and brings it back in. There's a nice play by Courtnall to break it up. And it's called offside at the line after the nice play by Russ Courtnall.
Robert Reichel is going to help this Flames power play. He's a natural sniper. He likes to play on the wrong wing, and we saw an example of that. Pass comes across to Reichel, and Reichel with that good quick shot had Kirk McLean coming out and beaten. But he hit the inside of the post and it stayed out. Nice play by Theo Fleury to create the open ice for Robert Reichel. Reichel, left-hand shot on the right-hand side. And you can see Kirk McLean's reaction. He breathed a sigh of relief when he heard the loud clink. That had the goaltender's clink. That wasn't the shooter's clink. It didn't have that nice soft one for the shooter. The good hard clink for the goaltender.
Yeah, that one resonated throughout the building. Now Patrick chased back by Trevor Linden. An errant pass broken up by McGillney. And under 40 seconds left in this power play as Linden and McGillney do some nice work in the penalty kill. Here's Gagner to the line. Dave Gagner. And Oakland barged in there as well, but couldn't find the loose puck. And Linden outlets it to Jurke Lume. McGillney's loose. And here's Alexander McGillney. Stopped by Trevor Kidd. And Kidd is hot to start tonight.
Trevor Kidd, 2 big saves, one on Martin Gelinas earlier, and this one on Alexander McGillney. McGillney just blows by James Patrick. Patrick is in the foot race with McGillney, and it's not a race. McGillney's by him, goes in on Trevor Kidd, the backhand, and Kidd right along the ice makes the save. McGillney is trying to stretch out the goaltender. He pulls it to his backhand and then tries to slide it back, but Kidd gets down very quickly, and with that left leg is able to keep it out.
McGillney led the Canucks in preseason scoring with 12 points. When I mentioned that to him today, he kind of rolled his eyes like it's been training camp for a couple of months for him. He was just anxious for the season to start after the World Cup and playing all the preseason games. He was anxious to get this NHL season underway. Hedeken ran into Stillman behind the net. Tikkanen will clear it, and that'll do it for the Aucoin penalty as he returns to the ice. There's Courtnall running into a Ginla, and up with it is Zalapski, hitting the line with Corey Stillman. Flipping it in behind the net, and Tikkanen there for Vancouver. Up ahead it goes to Courtnall. He couldn't handle it. Salapski finds Iginla. And Iginla pounds it in wide of the net. Knocked down by Hennigan as the Canucks turn it up ice. James Patrick off the glass, past the coin. Here's a foot race. Halushko after it, and look where Kirk McLean is. And he calmly played it ahead. Tikkanen dumps it in. And David Roberts, the first forechecker in. Patrick. Up ahead it goes. Sullivan is checked, and Roberts, the newcomer to the Vancouver lineup, lost the puck, and Ron Stern, an easy shot on McLean. 7 minutes, 45 seconds gone here in the first period at GM Place. And still no score. Roberts, nice pass. There's Bure. Pavel Bure right on. So Bure and McGillney getting their chances in this first period. Lume can't keep it in. Leaf Rolene. He'll flip it back in, and Seamack giving chase and scooping up the bouncing puck. Trevor Kidd, who's looked sharp against Bure and McGillney in the early going.
Had one of the prettiest goals I've seen in a while in an exhibition game against the Boston Bruins here this season.
He would have even beaten you with that move off the skate back to the stick.
I think I might have pitchforked him the next time down as he embarrassed the goaltender. You're not supposed to do that.
That goal got more mileage than any other scored in the preseason. On the highlight reels around North America, there's Creston, BC's Jamie Huska. Just got it by McGillney out to center. And now Chris O'Sullivan over the line. That's Reichel centering it, and Linden coming back. Picked up his World Cup teammate Theo Fleury. Chris O'Sullivan, quite a story, making a spot on this Flames team, signed as a free agent out of Boston University in August, and Pierre Pagé saying that he came out of nowhere to make this team.
Chris O'Sullivan wearing number 54 through most of the training camp, but now that he's made the team, he's got down to the regular numbers. He's wearing a number 19, although I guess now you can't call any number a regular number.
But it's youngsters like O'Sullivan that had Pierre Pagé really optimistic about the Flames' chances this year. They've made a lot of changes from last season, and there has been a lot of young blood in this Flames lineup.
And they played so well in the second half last season. I think the Flames are trying to build on that.
Of course, they've also added veteran experience like Dave Gagne in his 13th year. Here's Ojek, and as he went down, a penalty about to be called by Paul Stewart, and Vancouver is going to have its first power play of the 96-97 season.
And here's a hooking penalty. It wasn't on Gino Ojek. Ojek was in front, and Zarley Zalapski had him, but Dave Gagne is going off for hooking. There's Dave Gagne, the hooking penalty, and Gino Ojek was hauled down at the end of that play by Zarley Zalapski, but Gagne was getting the original penalty, and that's the only one Paul Stewart calls.
Well, this is an area where Vancouver hopes to improve dramatically this year. The power play, 17th in the league last season.
And just awful at home. They had a bad home record, 4 games under 500 here at home, and their power play was just terrible. 14.7 at home, and that's one of the things. Tom Rennie says they have to establish an identity, and one of the ways you can do that is have a good power play in your own rink.
Well, there were a lot of good things that happened for Tom Rennie's team in the preseason, but not the power play at home, where they were 1 for 17, but then again, that was the preseason. Here's Bure winding up. Pavel Bure over the line with Seamack. Ojek is on this power play. The point men are Hennigan and Babbage. Bure to Seamack, who lost it and then chopped it past Bure and Fleury out to center.
Now you know why Gino's on this power play. He's just going to plant himself in front of the net, try and create a screen, try and get a tip-in goal. He's not out there to handle the puck.
I think he's out there because Tom Rennie saw tapes of that Colorado series where he scored a couple game winners. He was an offensive threat against the Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs. Canucks having trouble establishing control. Now Bure has it. James Patrick watching him as it comes back to Babbage and Seamack. Under a minute left in this power play, and still not a shot directed on Kidd. Seaman pitches it across, and a high drive off the stick of Hedican. And Todd Alushko, a former Canadian national team member, gets it down the ice.
Trevor Kidd had no idea where that shot was going. James Patrick was lined up, was the screen, but Brett Hedican fired it wide.
35 seconds remaining in the power play as Linden's over the line, checked by Iginla. Chopped back in by a coin, that's onside. Linden played it ahead, Jelena tied up, and now Linden gets control. Back to a coin, putting it in front. Jelena, the backhand didn't get through, and McGillney was flattened in front, and another penalty. It'll be a two-man advantage for Vancouver for 14 seconds as Mike Sullivan heads off. On this face-off, Canucks win it. Lume across a coin, the one-timer went wide. Todd Simpson trying to fend off Esa Tikkanen. Canucks keep it alive. Couple seconds left in this two-man advantage. Here's McGillney, mishandling it, and back on the ice. Gagne, the shot on Kidd, and he sprawls to smother the puck.
Not as much traffic in front of Trevor Kidd as I'm sure Coach Tom Rennie would like. Todd Simpson was about the only person screening Trevor Kidd on that shot from the point. And you talk about the optimism of Pierre Pagé. Well, Tom Rennie is trying to get his team to become believers. Here's the shot through. No Canuck sweaters in front. Trevor Kidd sees it, pounces on it. No Canuck sweaters at all. No screen on that long shot from the blue line, and Trevor Kidd a little problem with it, but he's able to get it.
So it's a one-man advantage for Vancouver now, and Linden wins the face-off. Lume and a coin on the points, and that ricochets off somebody in front and out of play. Minute 34 remaining in this second power play for Tom Rennie in his first NHL regular season game behind the bench.
Canucks play 4 of their first 5 games at home, and with that atrocious home record last year and most of the same cast of characters on the team, Tom Rennie wants to get his team to believe that they can establish a character, and when teams come in, it's not an easy feat to get a victory out of GM Place. He feels that that will be the biggest turnaround that this team can make, is establish some identity on home ice.
4 games under 500 last year here at GM Place, but 4-0 in the preseason. Under Rennie, the native of Cranbrook, BC. Captain Linden plays it to McGillney. Tikkanen's in front of the net. Now back low to McGillney again. Tikkanen shooting it. That went off a leg, and Ron Stern will turn. Here's Stern racing down the left side. The rest of the penalty killers changing up as Stern was taken out. And Lume at center. Hits Linden over the line, drops it back for Lume. Walking in, and Trevor Kidd with another scintillating save. And here's McGillney, another breakaway. McGillney stopped by Kidd. And the crowd thought there should have been another penalty call as McGillney was nearly upended as he broke in.
James Patrick did a good job. He had the stick on McGillney, slowed him down enough. McGillney took the dive. Paul Stewart was right there and did make the call.
25 seconds left in this second Canuck power play. They've come close but can't beat Kidd. In behind the net, Seaman. Out to Bure. Fakes the shot, now in front, and that went off the skate of Corey Millen. And the other Corey, Stillman, gets it down. 7:17 to play in the first period. Flames back at full strength, and we're still scoreless. Bouncing puck on McLean. Now a giveaway. Hoagland almost got loose, but Babbage gets it back for Vancouver. Rink wide. Bure was winding up, but he's cut off on the play by O'Sullivan. Puck off the glass, and now Seaman takes a look. Roberts streaking down the left wing. Here's Roberts just playing it away, and Sandy McCarthy. Long pass. Way too far for Hoagland, and Lume back in his own zone. Pretty good pace to this first period. Roberts out at center with Courtnall over the line. He'll play it around past Kidd. O'Sullivan chasing after it for Calgary. Gives it to Zalapski. Now Big McCarthy, rink wide, and Roberts got his stick on it. Lume, watched by McCarthy. There's a giveaway, and Reichel takes off. Robert Reichel pounds it in on McLean, and he was well out to cut off the angle and to hold it for a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
How about Mogilny and Bure? Are you looking forward to that?
I definitely am. I've been real privileged to play with a lot of good players, and these two guys are no exception. It's going to be a real treat this year.
Tom, say you're going to get a chance on the power play, perhaps?
Well, I certainly hope so. It's no fun sitting up here. I want to get down there as soon as I can.
Hey, Chris, good luck.
Thank you.
Guys.
No fun sitting up there because it's so smoky. Here's Mogilny in alone. Scores!
Third breakaway of the first period. He has the puck well out front, takes a look. He almost fans on that shot. And I think that fooled Trevor Kidd. Mogilny comes in, the puck stands on end, and he just flips it. He almost missed that shot, but he got it up and over Trevor Kidd. And that's Mogilny's third breakaway here in the first period, and he finally cashes in.
He is flying. Mogilny, who had 5 goals in 5 preseason games, has the first goal for the Vancouver Canucks in this season, and of course he led Vancouver with 55 a year ago. Trevor Linden gets the only assist at 13:53 as the Canucks get the icebreaker here at GM Place.
And here we have a little pushing and shoving after the whistle, and Fleury and Linden, World Cup teammates. This is a typical Calgary-Vancouver matchup. Lots of emotion. There's Todd Simpson, and he's right in the middle of it. And you know that's one of the reasons he's on this team. And he's giving Alexander Mogilny a little elbow. They have to try and slow Mogilny down somehow.
And Todd only had 598 penalty minutes in his last 2 seasons in St. John. But Fleury and Linden, an interesting matchup. There's Todd Simpson, 23 years of age, native of Edmonton.
This play is called offside, and after the offside whistle, there's Trevor Linden. He's right in, and he's trying to get after Todd Simpson, and Theoren Fleury intercepted him. And then Simpson turned around, got back involved. Simpson was with Alexander Mogilny, and the Flames are going to have to do something. As you said, Chris, Mogilny is just flying. They're going to have to get in front of Mogilny and slow him down. Alexander Mogilny gets the goal, and Trevor Linden blocked the shot to create the breakaway. And there's Alexander Mogilny. He wants to go high, and he gets underneath the puck and just flips it, but he wanted to go glove side. It rolled off the end of his stick and went stick side.
Mike Ridley firing it into Calgary territory. Simpson nailed there by Crowder. Not much surprise that after that little scrum in front of the Vancouver bench, Mr. Crowder makes an appearance. Big number 18, one of the top heavyweights when he was healthy a number of years ago. Here's Corey Millen dancing in. Iginla scores! There's Jarome Iginla's first.
But you don't want to get scored on Corey Millen to Jarome Iginla. And look at the play. Adrian Aucoin and Mike Ridley both circle away from Iginla. Corey Millen waits till Aucoin commits to him, and then he just tips it over to Iginla, and Mike Ridley just can't get back in time, and it's an empty netter for Jarome Iginla.
Well, he went the preseason without a goal, and there was a little bit of frustration. But he has his first NHL regular season goal scored against Chicago in the playoffs last year, which I think took a little bit of the pressure off him.
And now he's on an 82-goal pace. What a nice play by Corey Millen. And Millen was injured during the training camp, only played 1 exhibition game. And the old veteran pro waited, good patience, and perfect play to Iginla.
Well, Corey Stillman was saying this morning that he scored in his first NHL regular season game last year. And really takes the pressure off early when you can do that. They were going to try and feed Iginla today. Courtnall with the shot handled by Kidd, and a penalty is coming up with 4:43 to go in this first period. Says he could be a Brendan Shanahan type power forward who might end up playing center in Calgary before all is said and done. But a lot of people's favorite for the Calder Trophy. Number 24, Jarome Iginla, with the tying goal here in this first period as the Canucks set up their third power play of the game, and led by captain Linden through center. Around the glass, Kidd stops it before it got to McGillney, and now McGillney got the strange hop off the glass and lost control of it. Zalapski flipping it down the ice. Exactly 4 minutes to play in the first period. Brett Hedican. Linden lost it. And here's Iginla to Gagne. Gagne snapped the shot right on as Iginla took a hit after passing the puck ahead.
And Dave Babbage came across and stepped into Jarome Iginla, and Iginla's going to the bench. He's trying to look like he's not winded. But he watched the pass. He had a nice little drop pass to Dave Gagne, and he watched it. And Dave Babbage came across, good clean hit, stood him up, and you can almost hear the air gushing out of Jarome Iginla. Here's Iginla on the rush, nice little drop pass, and there's Dave Babbage.
That's the rookie running into the 17-year veteran. Dave Babbage, 35 years of age. The Canucks missed him last year in the playoffs when he was out with a foot injury. As you check the scores from around the league on the first Saturday of a brand new season. Here a 1-1 tie. Canucks with 53 seconds left on this power play as C-Mac brings them in with Ojik, who was tripped by Stern. Bure back to the point. DeCoin had trouble with it. And now James Patrick banks it off the boards and back into the Vancouver zone. And Paul Stewart's got a penalty called, and it looks like Adrian Aucoin may be going off.
Paul Stewart is going over. Now, I don't know whether he's waving high stick or cross-checking on Adrian Aucoin or holding the stick.
And the penalty coming with 37 seconds remaining in Huscroft's penalty.
James Patrick loses his stick. Adrian Aucoin reaches around. There's the holding the stick, and he takes the stick right out of Patrick's hand.
Yes, the smoking gun.
And that's why Paul Stewart made the easy call.
Aucoin, one of the young defensemen that Tom Rennie is hoping takes his game to the next level this year.
It's very competitive. Adrian Aucoin, Jason Cullimore, competitive for that ice time.
Chris Joseph, we've heard from tonight, another in that category, and a veteran, Frank Kuchera, already sent down by the Vancouver Canucks, so a bit of a logjam as far as Canuck defensemen. Four-on-four hockey right now. C-Mac and Bure up against Millen and Iginla. Al Boline and Patrick, the defenseman, for the Flames. James Patrick ahead. Nice pass to Iginla. Millen was taken down on the other side of the ice, and that's going to result in another Vancouver penalty.
Now, Leif Rolin was coming back with Corey Millen. And it doesn't take a very high stick to get up on Corey Millen. He's about 5'6", 5'7". Leif Rolin well over 6 feet. Rolin coming back with Millen, gets his stick up and takes the high sticking penalty. And now in 6 seconds, the Flames will have a two-man advantage. Leif Rolin reaches around and with one hand on the stick, gets it right around Millen's neck.
Yes, the Flames will have a two-man advantage for a minute 23 late in this first period. So a big chance for Calgary to take the lead.
And a big face-off. The Canucks have been doing very well on the face-offs up to this point, especially in the offensive zone.
Reichel and Linden Canucks win another draw, get it down the ice. Linden and McGillney, 2 forwards, and Dana Merzen now in this 5-on-3 situation. Huscroft went right to the bench so they can get Zalapsky on the point. Here come the Flames, and Fleury lost it, and McGillney was almost away. But now Calgary will set it up. Here's Reichel driving it right on McLean. Merzen taken down, and that'll do it for the 2-man advantage. That didn't last long, did it? They got 1 shot on goal, and Robert Reichel is headed off.
Pierre Pagé looking over at Paul Stewart, but Robert Reichel, 5-on-3, took a low percentage shot on Kirk McLean, and after it stopped, Dana Merzen does the right thing. He's being held up. He goes down and put the pressure on the referee. He's called 2 against your team, put some pressure on him, and Paul Stewart makes the call on Robert Reichel.
.220 to go in this first period.
Look at Pierre Pagé on the bench, and Kevin Constantine, we saw him briefly, an assistant coach with Pierre Pagé, was in the Minnesota North Star organization when Pierre Pagé was the head coach, and that's how they know each other, and that's why Pierre Pagé hired Kevin Constantine to be his assistant.
Coming up in our first intermission, Ron McLean will report on the games earlier tonight. Montreal and Ottawa with the tie. Toronto beating Anaheim. Fleury watched by McGillney. Zalapsky across to Stillman. Back to Fleury. In front is Titov, and a nice defensive play by Merzen. Now Titov plays it off to Zalapsky. Big shot right on Kirk McLean. Stillman gets it back again to Zalapsky. Here's Corey Stillman, the former Peterborough Pete. Back to Zalapsky, driving it high up on the shoulder of McLean, and he'll get a face-off.
Dana Merzen doing a good job on German Titov in front of the net and letting Kirk McLean see some of those shots. 4-on-3, the Flames passing the puck around well. Titov taking the punishment, trying to get in for a screen, but Dana Merzen had him cleared out. Kirk McLean saw the shot, makes the save.
Also coming up in our first intermission, Scott Russell will chat with Trevor Linden, the captain of the Vancouver Canucks.
There's a Zalapsky shot. McLean picks it up after it goes over Trevor Linden, but Dana Merzen cleared out Titov to make sure he couldn't get to the rebound.
Well, Kirk McLean trying to put the 95-96 season behind him. A face-off here in the Canuck zone, and we saw it during the World Cup as the players adapting to the new tees in the face-off circles.
There's Brad Lazarowicz is waving them out. That's one of the few times we've seen that happen.
That's O'Sullivan on the point. Dave Gagne playing it in. Hoagland around the boards. James Patrick on that far side. 44 is the rookie Jonas Hoagland from Sweden. Now Coyne back on the ice as that puck was drilled high. And now they're 4-on-4. Coyne racing after it. Patrick stopped his progress. And Coyne heads to the Vancouver bench. Leaf Rolin, 15 seconds left in his penalty, and then Vancouver will have an abbreviated man advantage. Under a minute to go in the first period, and it's a 1-1 tie. Alexander McGillney has scored for Vancouver, and the rookie Jerome McGinley for Calgary. Here's Courtnall, lined up by Albaline. Jelena in there as well, and Martin Jelena playing it back to Hedican. Russ Courtnall has it. Hedican wheeling in the zone, tried to set up Tikkanen, got it back again. Esa Tikkanen to Courtnall with some room. There's the shot to score! Esa Tikkanen!
Goal for the Vancouver Canucks. Esa Tikkanen takes the pass and then gives it back and gets in position. He's in the corner, gives the pass and goes to the net. Stick on the ice. Nice play by Russ Courtnall. He hit Esa Tikkanen's stick. Tikkanen to Courtnall, and then Tikkanen stick along the ice. Courtnall hits it right through Trevor Kidd's legs. And you can see Tikkanen look right at Courtnall right away, because that was Courtnall's play. Bank it off the stick.
31-year-old Esa Tikkanen has restored Vancouver's lead. Courtnall and Hedican assisting on the goal. At 19:27, 2-1 Vancouver. Here's Seamack, just getting out of the way of that hit from Halushko. Up to Ron Stern over center. He'll dump it in as time runs out in this first period.
Your best players have to be your best players, and Alexander McGillney proved that in the first period. He was by far the best player on the ice, and he leads.
Earlier tonight, but the Flames trailing the Canucks 2-1 as we start the second period. And Brett Hedican behind his net. Two teams start period number 2 at full strength. That's Zalapsky playing right side to Stern off the boards and back in. Sullivan and Gagne also out there for Calgary. That's Seamack coming up with the puck for Vancouver. Alexander Seamack just flipped it over the right wing, hoping Bure would be there, and it's called on the offside. Well, the first goal of the...
Alexander McGillney, his third breakaway of the first period, he cashed in on Trevor Kidd. He almost fanned on the shot. He was trying to go glove side. It went off the toe of his stick, went stick side and beat him. Jerome McGinley, perfect pass by Corey Millen. McGinley just tips it by Kirk McLean as he beat Mike Ridley to the net. And then Esa Tikkanen. Perfect play by Russ Courtnall right along the ice. Tikkanen stick on the ice and no chance for Trevor Kidd.
Here comes Trevor Linden and a shot right on. Handled by Kidd. And back come the Flames. Reichel over the line. Here's Titov following up, and he snapped the shot right into the glove of Kirk McLean.
And Kirk McLean has done a good job at controlling the rebounds. That time Titov was just trying to bank it off McLean. He had some company going to the net. And McLean has done a very good job using his hands. Merzen and Lume back in. Titov just trying for the rebound. Doesn't get it.
Well, Tom Rennie admits that it's not going to be easy keeping two goaltenders of the talents of Corey Hirsch and Kirk McLean happy. But felt he owed it to McLean making his 10th consecutive season opening start for Vancouver to give him the initial chance to regain #1 status with the Canucks. Here's Reichel over the line. Fleury darting in there and rolling the shot in on McLean. Corey Millen on this faceoff, won by Tikkanen. So the Canucks continue to excel in that department. And David Roberts down the left wing, trying to cut by Husgraf. Just flipped it into the corner as Tikkanen was turned around. And back comes Millen with Stillman, the give and go. Over the line they come. Puck is loose. Ginland looking for it, and Courtnall found it. And Courtnall knocked down by Millen. Ginland chasing after it against Rolene. He goes down. So does Millen and Rolene as they end up in a pile in the corner. And a coin starts back for Vancouver. He shoots it in. Tikkanen after it as Trevor Kidd will play it around. Here's Corey Stillman up at center for Ginla. And the Flames will make a change after shooting it in. Brett Hedican finds Courtnall at center. He flips it ahead. Mike Ridley's on the ice. Zalapsky plays it back out to center for Calgary. 2-1 Vancouver, early second period. And here's Marcus Naslund, who had a hat trick in that regular season ending game against Calgary here last year. He's on a line with Ridley and Troy Crowder, and they get a face-off as the puck ends up underneath Todd Halushko. Well, it's the first night for a lot of NHL rookies, including this linesman, Lonnie Cameron, native of Victoria, starting his National Hockey League career tonight.
Jay Scherer is another local linesman, moved down to Phoenix. When Winnipeg went to Phoenix, there was need to get a linesman down there, and Jay applied, brought his golf clubs with him, and Brad Lazarewicz, native of Langley, BC. He and his young family still reside in Langley.
Now we get to put that veteran tag beside Brad. Over 850 NHL games officiated. Big Sandy McCarthy will move in on this face-off as Halushko was chased out. Canucks win another. Babbage wrist shot right on. That's what Tom Rennie was telling us this morning. Just get that shot on the net, as Babbage did. Kid comes up with another stop.
Now, Chris, on these new face-off alignments, you would think a taller player would have an advantage. And yet here's Marcus Naslund against Sandy McCarthy, winning it cleanly, and Dave Babbage having the scoring chance.
Well, in defense of McCarthy, he's not accustomed to being in that face-off circle. Boy, the Canucks are winning all the draws, aren't they? There's a puck in front of Kidd, cleared away. Now Ridley in the corner, tied up by Albalene. Naslund bumped there by Halushko. Battle continues. Ridley trying to pry it loose. Well, Hoagland up the boards, doesn't get it out. And Kidd moves it to Zalapski. Up off the glass, and this one will go out to center. There's Hedeken spinning away from McCarthy, and Brett Hedeken firing it right back in as he heads to the bench. Canucks making a wholesale change. Now Jonas Hoagland, 32 goals in Sweden last year, rolling it in wide of the net. McCarthy crashing in there, knocked down Merzen. Puck cleared ahead. Ojik looking for it, and it's played out by Seamack, and Bure is pulled down. Play will continue. The fans showing their displeasure as Todd Simpson upended Bure. Here's the rookie Simpson up off Titov, but now Titov will get it back again. Robert Reichel, James Patrick to Fleury, and Jyrki Lumme takes over for Vancouver. Patrick at center. Now Simpson off the boards. It's picked off by Titov, and he fires it in. Titov knocked down by Ojik. Merzen out at center in the second period without the flow we had in period one. You heard Kevin Constantine talk about tightening it up. Here's Jelena looking to center it. That went off the skate of Dave Gagne as Lumme had barged in and looked like he was open.
A lot more play in the neutral zone, and that new offside rule will lead itself to that. Players just dump it out, hope for a chance for the transition game.
That was McGillney looking for Linden in front, but the pass behind the open captain. Trevor Linden takes a couple of hacks from another former Medicine Hat Tiger, Huscroft. Adrian Acoy. Linden lined up by Gagne, but got it ahead. McGillney's on the move with Jelena. McGillney in front to Jelena with the redirection wide of the net. Nice speed by McGillney. O'Sullivan plays it to Sullivan. Coin swatted at it, but missed it. Rolin followed up. O'Sullivan lost it as it hit McGillney. Here's Linden and Jelena on the move. Martin Jelena finds Linden, trying to tee it up. Spins away from O'Sullivan. Trevor Linden hangs on, shooting it. That hits somebody in front. Rolin now. Took a bump as he put it in front, and Mike Sullivan will just send it down the ice right on McLean.
Trying for the line change, but the Canucks were changing too, so Kirk McLean couldn't fire it up and try and catch the Flames.
Adrian Acoy, rink wide, that's broken up, and Stillman turns back. 3-on-2, here are the Flames. Iginla couldn't get the shot away as Portnoy got back defensively. And now Tikkanen takes a look. Esa Tikkanen to Acoy. Canucks break out to center. Roberts to Courtnall over the line. Here's Courtnall looking for the return pass to Roberts. Tikkanen behind the net. Watched by Zalapski. And the Flames start back. Stillman's pass at center, broken up by Babbage. Dave Babbage in the center ice area, bringing it in, and offside the call. 6 minutes, 24 seconds into the second period. NHL coaching debut. Against the Calgary Flames, a team that has evolved into probably the chief rivals of the Vancouver Canucks.
The Flames had such a terrible start last year. They were winless in their first 10 games. They want to get off to a better start. They've got a much better schedule.
Well, that was just a bad situation. Had his stats in the German league last year, but happy to be back in the NHL. What a contrast in international play for Reichel last year, a world championship with the Czech Republic, and then the disappointment as captain of the World Cup team that didn't even make it to the second round. Here's Linden starting back, Shelena flying on left wing, but it's broken up by Patrick. Patrick taking Linden to the boards, and the Flames up with it as Fleury pushes it ahead to T-Top with Reichel. This should be the big scoring line for the Flames this year. Fleury, T-Top, and Reichel. Mirke Lume off the stick of Ojik into the Calgary zone, and Ojik runs into Simpson. Bure waiting for it. Got it back to Ojik. It came out in front, and Seamack fanned on it. And Dave Gagne skates away. Here's Gagne picking his way over the line. Double team there by Seamack and Aucoin. Around the boards it goes. Hoagland in pursuit against Babbage. Seamack to Bure. And now the Canucks break out. Here's Alexander Seamack. Bure trailing. Seamack in behind the net. Chris O'Sullivan without a stick kicked it ahead, and Sandy McCarthy just a stride too far for Gagne. Here's Dave Gagne looking to center it, and Babbage broke it up. Huscroft keeps it in for Calgary. Gagne along the boards looking for Hoagland in front. Now big Sandy McCarthy picked up by Bure, and we've got Huscroft and Ojik with the gloves off at the blue line. Said he was going to be more physical this year after only 181 penalty minutes last season. And the first chance of Gino echoing at GM Place this year.
And Jamie Huscroft, very game, as everybody knows. Not afraid to go with anybody, and he and Gino toe-to-toe. And you can bet Paul Stewart will not call an instigator penalty in that one.
Well, major penalties coming up to Ojik and Huscroft midway through the second period.
We think can come up and help us also, so we're definitely stronger up the middle.
How about this one out quickly? What do you do about your crowded situation in net? You got 3 of them.
I think we just wait. I think somebody's going to need one of them one of these days. In the meantime, we like all 3 goalies. They're all good goalies, and they're going to play for us.
Pierre Pagé says the team won't be outworked.
Well, that's the base that we established last year. That's how we're going to continue, at least on the pattern that we were on last year. And from that, I think we're going to get better. We're going to outwork people with the crop of people that we have today. And if we do that, I think we're going to have some success.
Hey, Al, good luck.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Guys.
Heard Al Coates talk about the youngsters, and although the training camp's over, the competition for jobs in a lot of places will continue on. These veterans getting pushed in Calgary by a good crop of young players, and the youngest minor league team in the National Hockey League systems in St. John.
Well, that was the trademark of the Flames in the second half last year. Nobody outworked them, and that's the reason they did so well in the second half.
They have to work to get back on even terms tonight, trailing 2-1. The Vancouver Canucks here at GM Place as Chris O'Sullivan bounces it across the ice. Shelena was there for Vancouver. Huscroft and Ojik in the penalty box. 5-minute major penalties for fighting. Here's Mike Sullivan sweeping in behind the net, centered it off a skate, and it's cleared ahead to McGillney. Here's McGillney with Linden catching up on the play. Passes off to Shelena. The drop pass picked up by Babbage. Snaps the wrist shot wide. Puck kept in at the line by Shelena. In behind the net, McGillney centers it, and Sullivan was there ahead to Linden. James Patrick takes a look. And out they come. Long shoot in. That one bounces high off the glass. Todd Lushko. And now Linden picked off by Fleury, and here's Theo Fleury in. Quick shot, and McLean got a piece of that went high. And play whistle down, I think.
They're beautiful dressing rooms, beautiful facilities, but the players have to shout at each other when you go in between periods. There is so much room.
I think there were times last year during the tough home game streak of Vancouver where the players were shouting at each other. But the atmosphere is much more confident and poised in the Vancouver room to start the season. Lume with the backhand flip down the ice. And Zalewski back to touch it for the icing call with 8:55 to play in the second period in Vancouver. Different theories on how that's going to affect the game, and I know both Tom Rennie and Pierre Pagé feel that it's going to be a positive move for the game. I'm not sure everybody agrees with that. The Canucks feel they may get some more goals off the counterattack in center ice this year with their speed. Guys like Courtnall, who is racing away now. Stopped by Patrick at the line. There's Hoagland playing it in behind his net. Courtnall was there. Back out to the blue line. Lee Rolin just backhands it to an open wing. David Roberts tied up there with O'Sullivan. Tikkanen waiting for the puck to come free, and he has it now and handed it to Hoagland. And McCarthy comes back. Here's Dave Gagne over the line. His shot blocked by Rolin, and Gagne crashing into Rolin to knock it free. Here's a glove stop by McLean as Tikkanen eyes McCarthy in front. Well, you've got an agitator and an instigator there. Not sure that's the right matchup.
Tikkanen was making sure McCarthy couldn't go to the net. Dave Gagne made a good play as the shot was blocked. McCarthy is trying to get to the net. He knocks Tikkanen down. The shot comes through, and now Tikkanen. Stick in between. He's keeping McCarthy to the outside. And Paul Stewart is right there. Chris, talking about the old offside as compared to the new offside, you could tag up and then go in and forecheck. You can't.
Duchesne's jersey started to come up, but apparently the linesmen are so concerned about that rule, they pulled the jersey back down for Duchesne to make sure he didn't lose it. Well, we'll keep reviewing some of the new rule changes through the course of the night as Bure's on the attack now, sweeping wide. Todd Simpson staying with him. Seamak picks up the loose puck. And now Marcus Naslin's moved on to this line. Tom Rennie changing it up a bit here. And now the Flames come up with it. It's played ahead to Corey Millen, speeding in with the Ginla. Here's Corey Millen dancing in, but behind the play, we've got a penalty coming up. And is this one going to the Flames bench?
And Paul Stewart, I think, is calling a dive penalty here, an unsportsmanlike penalty. Corey Stillman's going off. And unfortunately, here's the little hook, and Stillman goes down. Corey Millen had a good scoring chance, and it's negated by that penalty call.
Murphy's playbook. Canucks get possession. And now McGillney has it. He'll shoot it in, and Jelena will try to get there first. Flames come up with it instead, though. And back the other way comes Ron Stern, the head of steam. Lume watching him, wraps him up, and McGillney kicks it loose. Trevor Linden and McGillney carry it out. Linden hits the line up against Albaline. Trevor Linden the backhand, and Albaline blocked that. There's Stern and his stick lifted by a coin, and Jyrki Lume will take over. Up to Martin Jelena. Cross ice a coin. Back in, and a glove stop by Kidd with Jelena providing a screen and looking for that deflection out of midair.
Get the shot through. That's one of the things Tom Rennie is stressing with this power play, and this one does get through. Martin Jelena is going to the net, and Trevor Kidd is called on quick reaction to make that save. The shot by Adrian Aucoin. Jelena comes through, tries to tip it, misses it, and Kidd gets the left hand on it. Referees more power in that area.
Minute 13 left in the power play for Vancouver. Canucks with a 2-1 lead as Sullivan gets it down the ice. Dave Babbage is on the point right now. We were told we'd see Pavel Bure manning a point in this game, and it may be here. Bure kind of trailing on the play at the moment. Rolin and Babbage are the point men. And Tikkanen setting it up. There's Bure at the side of the net. Back to Babbage. Pavel Bure has been quiet so far tonight. Seamak. Esa Tikkanen got crossed up with Stewart. Puck caromed off a blade in front, and Fleury will roll it down the ice with under a half minute to go in the man advantage.
Theo Fleury doing a good job killing penalties. He's such a good skater. Anticipates well, and with his speed, intercept a lot of passes.
Here's Bure winding up now. Tikkanen was knocked down at the line. A little slow to get up, but he's in front now. As Bure hangs on. Seamak feeds Lume. There's Merzen shooting it. That didn't get through. And the penalty's over. Corey Stillman's back on the ice. Merzen tripped up in front of the Vancouver bench. Tikkanen took a high stick and he went down. Esa Tikkanen.
And Paul Stewart didn't see it. He's over talking to his linesman now. Mike Bernstein is checking Tikkanen out. Todd Lushko was right there.
Tikkanen had his back to Stewart. And we'll take a look.
Now there's the chop from Ronnie Stern. And I don't know whether he hit his wrists or his face with that one.
I think the stick of Stern kind of bounced off Tikkanen's stick and right up into his face.
Is that the new rule, accidental contact? No penalty called by Paul Stewart. Calgary is still having lots of problems on faceoffs. Here in the second period, Vancouver 11 of 14 so far. And it's really tough to maintain any kind of control when you don't have the puck off the faceoff circle.
Well, Tom Rennie's team a big edge in that department. You talked about the size advantage. A bigger player should have an advantage, and you look at Calgary centermen. Reichel 5'10", Millen 5'7", Gagne 5'10", Palushko 5'11", against a guy like Trevor Linden who's 6'4". And maybe that size is a big determining factor here. There's another one. Linden beating Reichel cleanly. Reichel's got it back again, though. Jerome McGinley's out there now. German Tita. Here's Iginla. Watched by Linden. Under 5 minutes to go, second period. Tita, bad angle, put it in front. Iginla, stopped by McLean. Jerome Iginla with a great chance there to tie it for Calgary. The rookie pushes it ahead again. Reichel over the line. And now Lume. Here, Paget has adjusted his lines as well now. Now Fleury hops out. Shoots it wide of the net. Lume backhands it up the boards. McGillney picked up by Reichel. At the line, kept in by Simpson. Here's Reichel dropping it for Fleury. Theo Fleury going wide on Lume. Putting it back in front of the net. And Linden and McGillney come up with it. Here comes McGillney. Linden trailing. McGillney backhand, and Simpson got a stick on it. Martin Gelinas just dropped it off, and Zarley Zalapski takes over with 4 minutes to go in the second period. Still 2-1 Vancouver. That was the score after 20 minutes. Gino Ojic's back on the ice, his first shift since the major penalties to Ojic and Huscroft. Fleury brought it down with a nice move on the stick and then chopped at Ojic behind the play.
There's a new offside rule, prime example, and the call made. You cannot go back into forecheck. The Flames tried, the whistle went. And that's the purpose of the rule. As soon as you start to go back in your own zone, the whistle goes.
So the adjustment period continues with some of the new rules. 3.5 minutes to go, second period here in Vancouver. Canucks with a 2-1 lead, and here's David Roberts breaking in. And Roberts couldn't get a shot away as Zalapski scrambled back. Portnoy set up, and a flip shot in on Kidd, who plays it aside. Hoagland pushed off the puck, and that's Roberts after it again, off the stick of Alvaline, and now Jonas Hoagland will bring it out with Gagne. Fleury's now on the right wing of this line, as Pierre Paget has changed it up a bit, looking for a little offense. Kept in by a Coyne, and a shot right on, and the rebound bounces back in on Kidd, who covers up. Mike Ridley. Ridley at 6'1" against the smaller Millen, but there's one for the Flames. On the face-off win, and they flip it into the penalty box area. And we've got another fight. And here's Crowder and McCarthy, and this is the main event. And score one for Sandy McCarthy.
I don't think there's any doubt about that one. Troy Crowder has not been involved. He had a few little scraps during the preseason, but nothing with a real heavyweight. And there he was involved with Sandy McCarthy. And Troy Crowder is going to have to go back to school a little bit to get back into fighting shape.
Well, I said that was the main event, but I get the feeling after that one we may see the main event in period number 3. Well, I've been anxious to talk about the goaltending situation involved.
And you just can't get enough work with 3 guys out there in practice.
Seen some pretty good goaltending from Kidd and McLean tonight. Trevor Kidd telling me earlier that when he started with Calgary, there was a 3 goaltender system for a short time with Jeff Reese and Mike Vernon. But it wasn't long before Reese was traded away, and that's how the problem solved itself. Here's Chris O'Sullivan with a shot, and that deflects off a stick and high over the glass. Well, O'Sullivan, quite a story. Flames weren't sure they were even going to sign him until the middle of August, and he foregoes his final year of university eligibility and finds himself starting the season in the National Hockey League.
And I think Chris O'Sullivan will improve as he puts on some weight. He's 185 pounds. He's quite tall enough, and he looks like he can carry some more weight. You watch him play, and in front of the net, you can see he wants to be aggressive, and he wants to push people away, but at 185 pounds, it's pretty tough.
2:22 to play in period 2. All the scoring in the first period. McGillney and Tikkanen for the Canucks, and Jerome McGinley scoring for the Flames. There's another young defenseman, Todd Simpson, paired with Patrick. Puck out at center, and now Simpson lugging the puck into Vancouver territory. Merzen picks him up. Simpson plays it to Fleury. Fleury back with Reichel and Titov. Lost the puck. And turning is McGillney. Here's McGillney going on to his right wing. Now puts it in front, and that slid by both Linden and Lume. Lume along the boards, battling with Fleury. Puck comes loose, and Linden has it, looking for McGillney. Now shooting it. Kidd down. Loose puck. And Trevor Kidd kept it out with Jelena on the doorstep.
And Paul Stewart waves his hands at Martin Jelena, saying, well, I lost sight. Jelena dug it right out of Trevor Kidd's glove, and that's what Trevor Kidd is saying to Paul Stewart. Martin Jelena is along the boards to start with. Trevor Linden walking towards the front of the net, slides it along the ice. Jelena continues, and there's Jelena. He digs it out of the glove, but Paul Stewart has lost sight, blowing the whistle. Here Trevor Kidd sees, he goes down low, makes a good save on Linden, but then he can't hang on to the puck as Jelena is there digging it out of the glove.
And we may have had a real argument if that puck had have slid not wide but into the net, as Paul Stewart was whistling the play dead. Minute 34 to go. And Seamack and Sullivan. And the Flames get another draw from Sullivan. Halushko off the stick and out to center ice, and Sullivan sends it the rest of the way. Seamack back for Vancouver. Sullivan after him, but Seamack stays with it, and he is nailed. There's a big hit. Todd Halushko with the big hit on Alexander Seamack. Puck bounced in front, and Sullivan can't turn with it. Now Babbitt at the line. It'll be kept in. There's a shot by Alvaline. That hits somebody in front and rolls out to the line. Under a minute to go in the period. Zalapsky to Albaline. Lost it to Bure, and he'll put it back in the Calgary zone. Canucks got a last-minute goal in the first period on the power play, and that lead has stood up here. So far, it's 2-1 Vancouver as Bure goes to the attack. Here's Pavel Bure around Albaline, around the net, on the backhand. Ojik swatting at it, and Trevor Kidd hangs on. And again, play called as the puck was jarred loose.
And there's Todd Simpson and Gino Ojik looking at each other. We could have some more fireworks in the third period. And again, Paul Stewart lost sight of that puck. He was on the other side of Trevor Kidd. Pavel Bure has one good rush of the night. He goes wide around the net, uses his speed on Tommy Albaline, has the backhand shot. There's Gino. Paul Stewart can't see it, blows the whistle. Here's Bure on Tommy Albaline. Speed wide, but he ends up behind the net, goes all the way around. Nobody picks him up. He has a good backhand chance, but Trevor Kidd gets back to his feet, recovers in time to make the...
Tiger Cats and Rough Riders meet in Saskatchewan. Here's Gagne ahead to Iginla, trying to split through there. Tikkanen was back defensively. It's put in front, and Iginla swatted the puck wide of the net. Here's Courtnall sidestepping Iginla, but Iginla has the puck. Looking to center it. Now Courtnall gets it back as the second period comes to a close.
Much better period for the Calgary Flames defensively as they shut down Alexander McGillney in that period.
The Flames with a slight edge through 40 minutes, but they'll have to come from behind here tonight. Here's a giveaway, and Lume dancing in front, and Trevor Kidd with a stop off McGillney. As Shelena and McGillney looked like they had chances to beat the Calgary goaltender in the opening 11 seconds.
A little miscommunication. Zarley Zalapsky throws it up the middle right to Jyrki Lume. Zalapsky is waiting for his teammate to turn. There's a pass to Lume. Jelena goes to the net. Trevor Kidd makes the original save, and then what a great save on Alexander McGillney as he has a second whack at it. Kidd makes the save on Jelena, is alert enough to get over and get the rebound, get the left leg down, and hangs on.
Here's Lume again, and Kidd steers that aside. Jelena along the boards. Zalapsky there. It comes free for Linden, and sprawling is Albaline. The Flames on their heels to start this third period. Lume and Merzen. And Dana Merzen sweeps away from Fleury. Up ahead for Jelena. And Linden at the line. Here's Jelena dancing in off the left wing. He's forced outside by Zalapsky. Now McGillney. Watched by Tita. And taken off the puck, and Reichel will start back. Robert Reichel gets past Merzen. Trevor Linden is back defensively. And so is Martin Jelena. Reichel trying to tie it up there. Looking for a face-off, but it comes loose. And Martin Jelena coming off his best year ever in the NHL. 56 points, 30 goals last season. Just plays it into the Calgary zone. Simpson and Patrick out for the Flames. Long diagonal shoot in. Ojik had his man tied up. And it's cleared to an open wing. James Patrick brings it back in. Here's Corey Millen. The shot, the rebound. Stillman couldn't find it. And Ojik feeds it over to Bure. The Russian Rocket on the move. Pavel Bure watched by Simpson. Now Ojik has it. Taken to the boards by Patrick. Seamack tries to center it. It ends up on the stick of Iginla. And Iginla's Stillman moved back in. Jerome Iginla stood up by a coin. Back at the point, there's O'Sullivan drifting it wide. Kept in by Huscroft. And now Dave Babich. Nice pass to Bure. Well, it wasn't that nice because it crossed two lines and is offside. And Tikkanen to face it off against Gagne. Puck shot in by Chris O'Sullivan. That's Hoagland looking for it. Big 44 in his first NHL regular season game. Top scorer in Sweden last year. Flames think he could score 30 or 40 goals, but he hasn't had a chance yet. Courtnall almost had one. Sprawled to reach that pass from Roberts, who comes up with it again, centers it, and it's onto the stick of Hoagland. Up to Fleury. Here's Fleury, the long shoot in on McLean, and Hoagland going to the net forces McLean to hang on.
There, and Fleury shooting it in the net, trying to make Kirk.
Over the years, 28 goals in 50 games. James Patrick back for the Flames. Calgary down by a goal here. That's Halushko putting it in. McLean wraps it around the glass. It'll be kept in at the line. That's Halushko with it. Back around to the other side. Sullivan giving chase. A coin kicked it loose. Bure got it free. And away goes Marcus Naslund. So Naslund on a different line with Bure as Bure snapped the shot. Marcus Naslund. Pavel Bure, and it results in a goal for this line.
Trevor Kidd has trouble with this shot. Bure surprises him with this wrist shot from a bad angle, and Kidd should have had that one. He waved at it, it hit him in the glove, and he couldn't handle it. The rebound comes out. Marcus Naslund is there to bang it in. Pavel Bure takes this wrist shot, wrong wing. Pass from Naslund, Bure, wrong wing, wrist shot, bad angle, and Trevor Kidd should have caught that. He doesn't catch it. Marcus Naslund's there to bang in the rebound.
And so at 3:12 of this third period, the Canucks take a 2-goal lead. Marcus Naslund. And Bure gets the lone assist. Merzen up the boards. Jeleno waiting it, pinching in was Zalapsky with Reichel. And now Jyrki Lume has it. Up to McGillney. Just got rid of it at the Calgary line. Zalapsky was there. McCarthy wrapped up by Jelena. German Titov knocked it free, and it goes to Linden, and now back to Lume. Dana Merzen up to Martin Jelena on left wing. Seamack now over the line, takes the shot that just went wide. McGillney after it, and Huscroft up with it. Puck flipped ahead. There's Stillman turning it back, and Huscroft has to go back to get it. Long pass, that's intercepted by Bure, and a stick check there by Chris O'Sullivan as Bure was moving back in. Now Corey Millen, who missed the last 6 weeks last year, and he is decked by Bure. Big hit by Pavel Bure. Again, lost his footing, and Seamack up with it. There's Bure. Gino Ojic couldn't find the pass, and it comes back to Bure again. Leaf Rolin up to Ojic, couldn't reach it, and Dave Gagne back in his own zone, hands it off to Huscroft. He'll take the return pass, couldn't find it as it went through his skates. He was looking for Babbage, who had him sized up. And now Bure starts back again with Seamack over the line, and it's called on the offside. Well, Bure looking more dangerous in this third period, and looking dangerous in the hitting department too. Against Tikkanen, and the Flames control it.
And you see with the new faceoff markings, you have a lot more time out by the blue lines on the faceoffs than you do in the defensive and offensive zones.
Simpson took a hit from Tikkanen after getting rid of the puck, and then dumped Tikkanen. Here's Gagne scooting in, centers it. Hoagland was cruising. Fleury followed up, and Kirk McLean with a big stop off Fleury. Flames down by a pair, and Fleury trying to make things happen. Checked by Courtnall. Puck backhanded in, and Merzen will get a chance to move it out. He does off Roberts, and that bounces into the Calgary zone as the Canucks make a change. We pass the 6-minute mark of the third period, and it's 3-1 Canucks. Ridley and Huscroft jostling. Now Ridley after it against Ronnie Stern, who plays it around the far side. That's Lume pinching in. And a nice move out at center by Halushko. Stern was on the move, but he was a little too anxious and went in ahead of the play.
Ronnie Stern is one of the leaders of this Calgary team. Used to be a Vancouver Canuck. He broke his wrist, and a lot of the Canuck management didn't know whether he'd recover after that. He broke it pretty badly, and he was traded to Calgary for Dana Merzen. Both players have done very well with their new teams. Ronnie Stern was one of the guys that led the mini rebellion last year in Boston that kind of turned the season around for the Calgary Flames. They were on a long road trip. They were in the middle of that dismal start. Game 20, they were in Boston, and the players and Pierre Pagé had a screaming match and cleared the air.
And Stern gets a chance here. Stern in, and he didn't get the shot away as Naslund came back. Stern again, and that's swept to the line, kept in by Huskrop. And Kirk McLean's going to just slow things down and get a whistle after a chance by Ronnie Stern.
A good defensive play by Marcus Naslund coming back. Ronnie Stern was trying to take his time and make the move on Kirk McLean. Vancouver Canucks get trapped. Bad defensive play by Leaf Rolin, and Naslund hooks Stern's stick just as Stern goes to shoot it. Stern goes wide. Naslund reaches back. Stern's going wide, just about to shoot it, and there's Marcus Naslund. What a great defensive play for the Vancouver Canucks.
Hadn't heard much from Naslund tonight, and he's been the best player in this third period so far with a goal and a key defensive play. German Titov's on the ice. He drops it off, takes a return pass, and shoots it just wide. Titov after it again off the end boards with Reichel and Fleury. Flames trying to get something going offensively, but the pass picked up by Linden. Up ahead it goes, Adrian Aucoin. Dumped by Fleury. Play will continue. And the fans thought there should have been a penalty there. Titov back. And Titov finds an open Reichel. And there's a good defensive play by Aucoin. Fleury behind the net. And he's knocked off the puck by Jelena. A hit for McGillney. Titov there again for Calgary. Flames desperately trying to get back in this one. Trailing by 2 and a chance for McGillney. A whip to wide. 12-12 to go, third period. Tommy Albaline. Over to Zalapski. Flames were 6-2 in the preseason, but down by 2 here in the opening game of the regular season. Gino Ojic has Bure on the move. Here's Bure trying to get around Simpson and crashing into the end boards. And Gino Ojic's going to go after Todd Simpson after that. But Bure looked like he had a step on Simpson, and Simpson pushed him off stride, and he crashed into those end boards.
I think Gino will get an instigator penalty here. He went after Todd Simpson, and that's one of the reasons Gino's on Pavel Bure's line, is to protect him. Pavel looks like he's all right. Mike Bernstein's out talking to him, and Pavel Bure gave him the nod that everything was okay. He's back up now. Pavel Bure going wide on Todd Simpson. Simpson gives him the little shove, and there wasn't much rough about that, but Bure was off balance, goes crashing into the boards. Fortunately, took most of it with his shoulders.
Looks like he's okay, and Canuck fans breathing a sigh of relief.
You don't get thrown out tonight, but now the next time you get one, then you get suspended.
But there was no fight in that instance, and just the 2-minute roughing penalty. You saw Bure even scrape some paint off the end boards onto that face shield. But Bure is flying now since about the midway point of the game.
There's good communication. You can hear Jyrki Lumme up here hollering at Kirk McLean, leave it, leave it, leave it. McLean out to stop it, and Lumme able to get it all the way down.
And another play broken up at center ice, and McGillney sends them back. And Zalapski will try and get this Calgary power play untrapped. Dave Gagne's on the ice. He'll flip it in. Corey Stillman going after it, but again, the Canucks are able to clear it off the stick of Gagne out to center. Zalapski gives it off to Stillman. And 1 minute left in the Flames power play. 10:40 to go in this third period. It's a 2-goal lead for Vancouver, and Kirk McLean held it long enough for a face-off as we join Scott Russell.
Favors who really might help.
Well, we think so. We like C-Mac. We didn't have a playmaking center, so to speak, to play with one of our Russians here on the wings, either McGillney or Bure. C-Mac seems to fit the bill a little bit. We hope that he is able to get the puck to them once in a while. And of course, Joseph, our power play has been without really a good point shot, and we know he shoots the puck real well, and he's a pretty skilled kid, and we think he'll fit in as well.
Hey, Pat, a pretty upbeat attitude around here.
It is. You know, Tom Rennie has come in, and he's a very positive guy. And, you know, we've, over the last year and a half, a little bit, we've made a lot of changes. We've got some skill on the hockey team. Now we have to see if we can pull it together and play like a team.
Pat, thanks a lot, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Pat.
Guys.
Pat Quinn has to like the penalty killing at the moment as they kill the roughing penalty to Ojic and continue to lead by a pair of goals as we pass the midway point in the third period. Huscroft sending it in. Fleury was late clearing the zone, and offside is called. 9:33 to play in regulation time.
At the blue line, they had no control and no pressure.
Corey Millen wins that face-off against Tikkanen. Huscroft. Now O'Sullivan just flipping it down the ice, bouncing in on McLean. Millen, first one in there, and it's steered away. McCarthy along the boards, bodied by Tikkanen. Puck comes loose. Here's a chance for Hoagland in the shot. Not much on it. McLean the save. McCarthy will shoot. Rebound comes in front, and Tikkanen will get it out of there. Flames need a goal now with under 9 minutes to play. O'Sullivan just gave it away. Preston's Huscroft left it at center, and now Courtnall goes after it against O'Sullivan, following up his Naslund. He almost came up with it. Merzen at the line, back in the corner for Courtnall. Here's Russ Courtnall looking for some room, gets it, shoots, and that's steered away as Kidd swept it out of midair with his stick. McCarthy without the helmet down the ice. Mike Sullivan takes a couple of Canucks down with him, but Trevor Linden's there. Off the glass, past McGillney, and down the ice. Here's Stern playing it around. McLean leaves it for Babbage. Off the boards, that hit Halushko. Sullivan knocked down by Babbage. Now Todd Halushko trying to center it. Sullivan couldn't reach it. McGillney, the bouncing puck, and he just gets it out to center. Zalapski chased back by Jelena. Up ahead it goes. Here's Todd Halushko over the line. Tries to get the shot away, and it's wide. And Babbage turned, but hooking down Ronnie Stern was Jyrke Lume, and he's headed off. So the Flames will get another chance on the power play. When Ojic was off moments ago, they win the face-off, and Zalapski gives it to Stillman. Fleury, Reichel, and Titov are up front. That's Fleury playing it back to Stillman at the left point. And here's a shot. Titov rebound. McLean down off the post, and Ridley played it back underneath the Canuck goaltender.
German Titov can't believe it didn't go in. He was there. He was taking the punishment, waiting for a rebound. He got the rebound, got it by Kirk McLean, but it hit the outside of the post. Titov gets the rebound. McLean makes the first save, but then the shot hits the outside of the post. Mike Ridley's back, slides it into his goaltender. A good play by Mike Ridley. Here's a look at German Titov. He gets in behind everybody, picks up that rebound, gets his own second crack at it. Jyrke Lume finally comes back, and Kirk McLean gets it underneath his body.
7:20 remaining in the third period, and Calgary on the power play, trying to cut the deficit to 1 goal.
There's another face-off, won cleanly by Esa Tikkanen. The puck goes around the boards and down, and it'll take at least 20 seconds to get reorganized.
Here's Zalapski getting by McGillney. And now Stillman to the line, plays it over on the left side. Fleury gives chase against Rolin. In behind the net, Reichel barging in there, looking for a loose puck. It comes free. Tikkanen can't get it out. And it's back to Zalapski. There's the shot. Kicked out by McLean and cleared by the Canucks. And now Courtnall comes out with Jelena as Stillman moves back in, and Titov was a little anxious and is offside. Well, Tom,
Home is not acceptable.
took them 4 tries to win their first home game last year. Trying to do it in the opener tonight. Courtnall collects the rebound. Jelena hopping out. And back to Courtnall, who's on the move. Back to Jelena. Weak shot, and it bounced off a defenseman, and Jelena gets it back again. And he'll just move it back out to center. Some nice penalty killing as the Flames power play time is running out here. Under 6 minutes to go in the game. Here's James Patrick over the line, drops it off, and again offside is the call at the Vancouver line.
Calgary Flames, you look at James Wetter and Moose Jaw, but just because of his size, nobody else would touch him. The Flames took a gamble, and look at the player he's turned out to be.
Actually, part of the story there was they thought he could score at the minor league level and light it up in Salt Lake for their farm team there. Well, he did, but he's been lighting it up in the NHL ever since. They need to turn the red light on a couple of times here. With under 5.5 minutes to go, trailing 3-1. There's Mike Ridley out with Naslund, and Troy Crowder's back on the ice. And Crowder going after Simpson behind the net. Crowder goes down as he chased after Simpson. Now Marcus Naslund has it, and we've got a tripping penalty as Crowder upended Millen. And that's not what he had in mind.
Troy Crowder wanted to go after Todd Simpson because of the Bure thing, obviously. And he couldn't catch up to Simpson. And then ends up, here's Corey Millen. Out goes the knee of Troy Crowder, and down goes Corey Millen. That's a dangerous play. Crowder goes off. And fortunately, Corey Millen's all right.
So another power play chance for the Flames here. Tom Rennie's team has been impressive in penalty killing tonight, but how many chances can they give Calgary to get back in the game in this third period?
Well, the last power play, German Titov had the good scoring chance off the post. There's Marcus Naslund, the little hook from Ronnie Stern, and the Canucks were hoping there'd be a penalty on that one. There isn't. Troy Crowder is the only one called.
So it has not been the debut that Troy Crowder had hoped for here in his first game as a Canuck. Now he's just hoping the penalty killers can bail him out.
Chris, I don't know whether you'd agree with me, but I think Sandy McCarthy is the #1 ranked heavyweight in the league, and Troy Crowder losing to him is no real shame.
No, McCarthy well established, and in fairness to Crowder, a couple of years missed because of back problems, only 15 games last year in LA, and anxious to make an impression. There's a shot kicked aside by McLean, and it was not a Mike Tyson KO in that first meeting of McCarthy and Crowder, which likely won't be the last of this season. Fleury up ahead, and now Zalapski has it near the line, tripped up as he crossed, gets up and maintains possession. Here's Titov, and he shot that one wide from a great scoring position. Fleury now takes the shot, can't get it past big Dana Merzen, who gets it out of there and down the ice. Corey Stillman back as the Canucks change penalty killers. Over the line they come. Titov has it. German Titov past Rolin. Babbage now around the boards. It'll be kept in at the line. Stillman cross ice pass picked off, and Russ Courtnall A breakaway shorthanded. Courtnall stopped by Trevor Kidd. Well, that has the GM Place fans buzzing. 3.5 minutes to play. 20 seconds remaining in the Flames power play. Patrick now moved up. At the side of the net, Millen. Hacked at by Rolene. Dave Gagne has it. Back to Corey Millen. Ginla's in front. And now O'Sullivan shooting, and McLean got a piece of that. And again, the penalty killers do the job. Crowder's back on the ice, and he has it. Looking for Courtnall at center. And now Gagne stepped on the puck. He fell down. Another chance. Courtnall at center. And here's Russ Courtnall moving back in. Jellin on the left side. Courtnall hangs on, flips it through. Jellin aside of the net, centered it. And it's Ginla starting back for Calgary. Jerome Ginla shooting it in. And Kirk McLean out to play it. Gives it off to a coin. Up off C-Mac, and it bounces into the Calgary zone. 2.5 minutes to play. 3-1 Vancouver. Gino Ojic back on the ice.
So is Pavel Bure, his first shift back since crashing into the boards.
Sandy McCarthy can't beat Merzen. Following up is Lushko, and Bure came back defensively. Gino Ojic just flips it to the line. It comes off Albaline out to center. C-Mac took a look. Wanted to get it to Bure. Rolls it in. Ojic's in front, and the pass behind Big Gino. C-Mac has it in the slot. Ojic turns, and the shot off a stick goes high with 1:56 to go in the third period. From the face-off in the Calgary zone, puck into the corner, and C-Mac giving chase. Huscroft pushed it down the ice, and Huscroft's going to go after it as Babbage gets back for Vancouver. Fleury now forechecking, trying to force the turnover. It comes to Huscroft at the line, flipping it back in over the net. Titov and Fleury in desperation now as Kidd goes to the bench. The net is empty as Calgary has an extra attacker on the ice. And it's pushed ahead past Ojic, rolling down the ice. Huscroft going back to get it with Ojic in pursuit. Ron Stern plays it out to center. That's gloved by Rolene, back in offside.
Now the Calgary Flames are saying that puck should go all the way down. That's what Pierre Pagé is saying, that should be an automatic intentional offside, and that the faceoff should be deep in the Vancouver zone.
Pierre Pagé's team will have its home opener tomorrow against the Buffalo Sabres. Canucks are in Edmonton against the Oilers, who opened at home with a win last night against Buffalo.
Now here's Leaf Rolene, and he plays it with his hand. I think that's the only reason that the linesman didn't call it an intentional offside, as Rolene kind of swung at it, tried to bat it sideways, and now you see Pierre Pagé he's pleading his case. He's not going to win now.
Yeah, Lonnie Cameron is going to remember his first NHL game, and the comments from Pierre Pagé along the boards there. Pagé upset because Kidd had to return to the net. And we're into the final minute here. Vancouver protecting a 3-1 lead. Again, at center. Couldn't get it in deep, and Rolene plays it back into the neutral zone. Kidd cheating out now as it's shot in, and Millen will be first man after it, but he's offside. And plays called.
And now Corey Millen doesn't like the call.
And this is going to be intentional, and going to go the length of the ice.
And now maybe it looks like Brad Lazarowicz is overruling his partner here, his rookie partner, and the faceoff is just coming outside the Canuck blue line.
.6 seconds left.
Trevor Kidd out to the blue line, looks over to the bench.
The Avalanche losing their first two in defense of the Stanley Cup. I think a lot of people think Dallas is going to be a much improved team this year in the Western Conference.
And Colorado won't be able to catch any teams this year. A lot of times you can look at the schedule and say, well, the Avalanche are in, we might be able to catch them sleeping, but you win that Stanley Cup, everybody gets ready.
Here's Jelena pulling down Zalapski deep in the Calgary zone, using up precious seconds. Now Rolin at center ice, back to McGillney, back to Rolin, over to Jelena. And here's Linden moving back in. Trevor Linden in front, and McGillney got a stick on that. Final 10 seconds. And the Vancouver Canucks, who struggled so miserably at home through much of last year, are going to post the win. There's a stop by Kidd as this one's over. And Vancouver's won it 3-1.
And a good defensive game for the Vancouver Canucks. Tom Renney wanted to cut down on odd man